Buonasera and Merry Christmas. Yes, I am ready, and trust me, you will be the same if you were married to Julie. She loves Christmas. During an exchange of messages with Priscilla, one of my subscribers, hi there Priscilla, she asked me what they eat in Sicily for Christmas Eve, as in Rome, which is where she's from. They tend to have a tradition of eating fish. There are families in Sicily that eat fish, but generally tend to be red meat. But tonight I will be doing something with salmon, and it's going to be in a beautiful glaze with honey and lemon and butter and garlic, a little sauce, which is what I am planning maybe of having on Christmas Eve. So this is a little bit of a trial. But before I start with the salmon, I'll show you what I'm going to be doing as a side. I'm cooking for Julie and I tonight, and here I've got a courgette which I have sliced, and I'll place that inside the griddle. This is a yellow pepper, and I've cleaned it from all of the seeds and removed all of the white, which is not very nice, and I'm also putting it in the griddle. And here I've got a couple of white onions which I've halved. I've left the peel on, and I'm putting them head down. They will be going in the oven eventually, but I will start off on the hob first. Temperature medium high, and they've been cooking for about 4 minutes, and you can see that they're beginning to get the lines from the griddle, and I'm going to turn everything around. I'm not going to touch the onions though, just the courgette and the peppers. As I mentioned earlier, they will finish cooking in the oven. This is to start them off and also give them a little bit of a charcoaly sort of flavour. And within another 4 minutes, I'm happy that they can be moved on to a bowl now. I'll leave the onions as they will have a different treatment. And I'll add a little olive oil on top of everything. And I'll mix everything so that the oil covers everything as well. These are plum tomatoes which I halved, but you can also use cherry tomatoes, but important that they're fresh. I'll add them in and I'll mix everything together now. Separate bowl, and I'll add 4 spoons of breadcrumbs. These are dry breadcrumbs. A little salt and pepper. More pepper than salt. And that is because I'm going to add now some Parmesan cheese to my mix, which is also fairly salty. Quantity wise, this is going to be approximately 1 tablespoon of Parmesan cheese. I'll mix it all together, and I'll move all of my breadcrumbs mix with my vegetables. And I'm mixing everything together now with my hands, so the tomatoes and courgette and peppers, they're all covered in the lovely breadcrumbs. And I'll move all of my vegetables inside it. I left the tomatoes for last, as I suspected that I will be struggling for space, so I can use the very little available gaps. And the remaining breadcrumbs, if you're wondering, just sprinkle on top of everything. Perfect. A little bit more olive oil on top of everything, including the breadcrumbs, so that everything will have a lovely and golden color when they come out of the oven. And this is ready to go in the oven, but I'll wait until I get the salmon ready so that they go in together and I save electricity. And back to my onions, which in the meantime have cooled down and they are safer to handle. I could have done with doing this earlier when they were still raw, as I would want them to sit on their bum. So I'm just chopping it off so that they are nice and straight, like so. A little olive oil in the new oven dish, and I'll move my onion inside it, still with the skin on, like so. A little olive oil on top, followed by a little drizzle of balsamic vinegar, and a little amount of salt, and some pepper. And these are also ready to go in the oven. I'll put them beside the vegetables for the time being. And I'm ready to move on to my sauce for the salmon. So a knob of butter, about 20 grams. I'll turn the temperature slightly down on number 6, medium high. And as the butter starts melting, I'm going to be adding 1 clove of garlic, like so. There's some left, so I'm going to use my knife. Followed by a good splodge of honey. This is going to be about 1 tablespoon. And also a good amount of lemon juice. I'll turn it down from number 6, medium high, to medium low, number 4, and I'll simmer for a couple of minutes and I will be ready. In the meantime, I'll get my salmon ready. Tin foil, oven dish, goes inside it. I've got a couple of slices of salmon, one for me, one for Julie. They can go inside, just like this. My sauce is ready and has thickened up a little, which is great. And very simply, I'll just pour it on top of my salmon. That's one, and that's the other. And as always, if you want to get everything out, use a spatula and you will get every single drop onto your salmon. And before it goes in the oven, a little amount of salt, followed by some pepper, and a very generous amount of parsley to cover the entire surface, just like this. The reason why I use tin foil is to be able to close it a little bit like a parcel so that it doesn't dry too much. So something like this is fine. It doesn't have to be hermetic, just enough to protect it from the heat. And I've just turned the oven on, and I'll wait until it reaches temperature of 180 degrees, and I'll pop everything in together for 15 minutes. In my case, my fish will be ready in 15 minutes as it's not very thick. But if your fish is thicker, you will want to check it before you get it out, depending on how you like it. So I'll see in about 20 minutes. I'm sorry, I forgot about the bread. It is going to be a Christmas Eve meal after all, so this is optional, especially if you're on a low-carb diet. But this is a nice piece of rustic bread which I'm halving. A little olive oil, and I'm going to be helped by my brush so that I don't have to put too much on. But I will be doing both sides. Followed by a sprinkle of oregano. Again, I will be making sure that I cover both sides with it. And using the same griddle, I don't need to wash it up, that I used for the vegetables, I'll place it on a medium-high temperature. I don't want to burn it. A couple of minutes per side, and that will be ready for later, like a bruschetta. And everything is cooked and just out of the oven, and here is also my salmon. The reason why it's on this tray, by the way, is because I placed it under the grill for a couple of minutes to give it a nice golden color as well. I'm getting very hot with this hat on. Nearly done, just a few finishing touches before we serve it. So just a little bit more olive oil on top of everything, including the salmon of course, and I'm not gonna put any, yeah, why not? Let's put some on the onions as well. Why not, indeed. It is Christmas after all. And one last sprinkle of fresh parsley, being that it's fresh, will release more flavor. Also, I haven't put any at all on my vegetables purposely. I left it for last so that it will release a lot of flavors now. And here is the bread, by the way, and I've also sliced 4 pieces of lemon and put them on the griddle to give a little bit of additional color. So I'll put the plate together and I'll show you what my serving suggestion would be if you were to cook this dish. And you will have guessed that as we get close to eating, someone arrives.
Yeah, I can smell it. It smells lovely.
She said to me always, when it comes to the end, would you like to come and help you doing the finale? Of course I do.
I'm not stupid, dear.
Yes, you're not. Anyway, here they are. Look, I have actually arranged them, excuse me, in a couple of plates, and mostly for the benefit of the photo, but that is not a bad presentation. I'm not Gordon Ramsay, but I suppose that's good enough. And I'll think what I'll do, I'll test a little bit of the salmon as it is the main ingredient, and then I'll go, otherwise it will get 20-25 before the
I just had a tomato and it was yummy.
It's delicious actually. Its sweetness from the honey and the bitterness from the lemon, they contrast themselves very, very nicely. Delicious. Highly recommend it, especially if you prefer to have fish on Christmas Eve. And one final ask, if you like my channel, please subscribe. If you don't like my channel, subscribe all the same. You might like it in the future. Anyway, also don't forget to like, share and all that stuff. That would really be appreciated, as you will help me grow and get more people to view the recipes that I cook. Arrivederci, grazie. Hopefully you enjoy if you make it, and if you do, let me know, and buon Natale. Ciao ciao.